Hello everyone and welcome to another Foul Original. This video was made in part thanks to the Foul Original people over on patreon.com/fouloriginal. Patreons get early access to all my videos ad-free before they go public on YouTube. More details will be at the end of the video. This week we look at a story which ran concurrently alongside the overarching Aces and Eights story happening throughout 2012 on TNA programming. This was a love story between a very unlikely couple, a secret relationship that would be exposed and put them at odds with a man they would call immortal. This would lead to a wedding for the ages, mixing fact and fiction. Alas, like all wrestling weddings, the happy day would feature betrayal and surprises. You're all cordially invited to a very special day in the life of Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan. This is part 5 of the story of the Aces and Eights, the wedding of Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan. On May 12, 2012, Spike TV would announce in a press release that Brooke Hogan, the real-life daughter of the immortal Hulk Hogan, would be coming to work for TNA. The press release would state, television personality and recording artist Brooke Hogan is joining the cast of the highly rated weekly wrestling program TNA's Impact Wrestling, starting Thursday 31st on Spike TV. Brooke's role will be as the executive in charge of the female wrestling division, the Knockouts. The role was to make matches and settle disputes in the highly popular and ratings-drawing TNA Women's Division. The role would be as an on-air authority figure like a general manager, but focused just on the women's division. She would also work behind the scenes with the Knockouts division as a consultant and creative figure. The press release would include a quote from then president of TNA Wrestling Dixie Carter. She would say, "I have really gotten to know Brooke by working with her on her music career this past year and a half," said Dixie Carter, president of TNA Wrestling. "When we did talk wrestling, I not only loved her passion and knowledge of it, but the fresh, creative ideas she would come up with. She is very savvy. I asked if she would consider teaming up with me in this capacity while she also worked on her music, and I was thrilled when she said yes. A big personality runs in her genes, obviously, and I know she is going to take an already exciting division of Impact Wrestling to another level." She would make her on-air debut on the May 31st, 2012 live episode of Impact Wrestling after being introduced by Dixie Carter on air. Outside of the ring in July 2012, she started working on her third solo studio album, but would continue to appear on TNA programming throughout the summer months of 2012. This meant that she would become involved on screen as part of the Aces and Eights storyline. She would be seen on the July 12th, 2012 episode of Impact, comforting Hulk while he was written off TV for back surgery. In the storyline, however, this was a savage beating to send a message to the locker room by the then still very new faction of the Aces and Eights. In November 2012, she would find herself involved in a secret relationship that had recently come to the surface. The man she was entangled with was none other than Bully Ray. Throughout 2012, the main focus of Bully Ray was to win the Bound for Glory series. By winning this, he would be guaranteed a TNA World Heavyweight Championship match at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view in October of that year. He would win enough points in the series throughout the summer of 2012 to secure himself a place in the final 4 competitors. Back on September 6th, 2012, on the episode of Impact before the No Surrender pay-per-view, the 4 men would have their final matches of the ongoing series. Once the final rankings had been set, all 4 men would make their way to the ring. James Storm had the most points and came out first to address the crowd and his opponents. As the competitor with the most points, he was able to pick his opponent in the semi-finals. He singled out Bully Ray from the other 3 men as he made his choice. Bully had accused James Storm of being in the Aces and Eights during the series in 2012. He was also angry that Bully had beaten him in last year's Bound for Glory semi-finals. James Storm challenged Bully to the semi-final match this year to even the score and get his payback. Fast forward to September 9th, 2012, and at the No Surrender pay-per-view, the final 4 would face off in a one-night elimination tournament. The two semi-finals matches would kick off the pay-per-view with the winners of these matches facing off in the main event. First off, we had Jeff Hardy facing Samoa Joe in their semi-final match. Jeff would come out the winner of that bout and would face the winner of James Storm and Bully Ray. Bully Ray would beat James Storm thanks to interference from Bobby Roode. Bully would then be beaten by Jeff in the finals. This would give Jeff a shot at TNA Heavyweight Champion Austin Aries at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. Bully Ray had been trying to fight off the incoming Aces and Eights attacks since their first appearance in TNA. Having lost the Bound for Glory series, he would instead team with Sting at the pay-per-view to fight off the Aces and Eights in a tag team match. This was after Hulk Hogan had been attacked. The shock reveal of his blood brother Dvon being a member really hurt him, and he needed someone to talk to. Brooke had apologized for her father being mean to him, and they would spend more time together. In the following months, Bully Ray had comforted and been comforted by Brooke Hogan. They had become close just after the attack on her father by the biker gang. This, however, wouldn't sit well with many people who didn't seem to understand the attraction. In November 2012, the greatest man that ever lived would come to expose their secret rendezvous, and they would have no say in the matter. Austin Aries was one of the biggest stars in TNA during a creative boom period for the product in 2012. Aries would call himself the greatest man that ever lived, a take and slight jab at CM Punk's nickname of the best in the world. Aries would adopt a more wildcard kind of attitude as a tweener, neither really a face or heel, but backed it up with an impressive reign as X Division champion for 298 days. On September 11th, 2011, at the No Surrender pay-per-view that year, he had beaten then X Division champ Brian Kendrick to capture his first X Division title. In May 2011, Aries would give up his belt and long reign for a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, in what would later be named Option C in storyline by Austin Aries. He agreed with then General Manager Hulk Hogan that this would be a yearly tradition at the TNA Destination X pay-per-view where the X Division champion could trade in their belt for a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Aries would vacate the title without ever losing it in a match. On July 8, 2012, at the TNA Destination X pay-per-view, Aries would face off against Robert Roode using Option C and become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. It was reported that Aries had signed a new long-term deal with TNA on July 17th, and he would hold and successfully defend the TNA Heavyweight Championship until Bound for Glory 2012. The winner of the Bound for Glory 2012 series, Jeff Hardy, had been attacked before the match by the Aces and Eights. Even after the attack, Aries would lose the match and the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. This did not sit well with Aries, who became more obsessed with the title, and after some very heel-like behaviour, he would continue his character's pipe bomb-style shock promos throughout this time. However, on November 11th, 2012, at the TNA Turning Point pay-per-view, he would once more fail to recapture the title from Jeff Hardy. On the November 22nd, 2012 episode of Impact, Austin Aries would reveal the secret relationship between Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan. Aries took glee in being able to reveal this information to the world, leading to an uncomfortable atmosphere between Bully Ray and Hulk Hogan. Fast forward to the December 20th, 2012 episode of Impact Wrestling, and Hogan would see Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan kissing. Hulk would confront them in the ring. On the January 3rd, 2013 episode of Impact, Bully would say that this was all his fault and that the heat should all be on him. Hulk would respond angrily to Bully. He said that Bully should have never been in the business and that 20 years ago he would have taken care of this physically. Now that he was a general manager, he could do it a different way. The Immortal One would suspend Bully Ray indefinitely with no pay. Brooke would try to plead with him, but Hulk would say, "You've made your decision, so you're suspended as well." Bully would leave the ring with Brooke as Hulk didn't trust him at all. The next week, on the January 10th, 2013 episode of Impact, the Aces and Eights would attempt to kidnap Brooke Hogan from the Impact Zone. Bully Ray would return while suspended and manage to stop the kidnapping attempt from the group. Afterwards, Bully Ray would again clash with Hulk over his relationship. Hulk wasn't happy, as even though Bully had saved her from the Aces and Eights, it was their relationship that put her in danger to begin with. Sting would try to calm Hulk down, as Bully would respond. He spoke passionately about wanting to one day be as good as Sting and as great as Hulk. He talked about having Sting's back while Hulk was away after his beatdown from the Aces and Eights. He said that he had Hulk's brother's back till the end. He said he loved professional wrestling and didn't think he could love anything more until Hulk's daughter came into his life. Sting again would try to hold back Hogan. Bully would start to profess his love for Brooke and then say, "Screw it." He would shock the crowd and everyone else as he dropped to one knee and pulled out a ring box to propose to Brooke Hogan in the ring. Hulk stared daggers at them both in the background, with Sting trying to keep him calm. She would kiss him and say yes as they both stood up. Bully would take the mic again and say that he wanted to marry her next week in the ring on Impact. Brooke would accept with "whatever you want" to Bully. Commentary would be as surprised as us to confirm that next week, live on Impact, we would see the wedding take place. Hulk still didn't seem convinced and didn't fully trust his daughter's new fiancé. The proposal would be one of TNA Impact's most viewed videos on YouTube, due to the people involved and playing the storyline as real as possible. The wedding ceremony was set for the next week on Impact, but of course, there would be a surprise for the happy couple to come. Before making the commitment to his bride-to-be, Brooke Hogan, Bully Ray would organise one last big bash on his final night as a Bachelor. This event would be announced via a press release on January 15th, 2013 to happen at Rick's Cabaret Strip Club in New York City, the night before the wedding on Impact. The press release from Rick's Cabaret announcing this bachelor party stated, "Bully Ray says he is sparing no expense for the bachelor party and has booked the famous Crystal Room of the 3-story club, which is just down the street from Madison Square Garden. I could have had my bachelor party anywhere in the world, but I chose Rick's Cabaret because they have the hottest women, gourmet food, and the best booze," he said. Bully said many of his wrestling star friends, rock and roll musicians, and show business pals will attend. He added that he invited Hulk Hogan, but his future father-in-law declined. The press release would go on to mention the upcoming wedding on Spike TV and a little bit more about Rick's Cabaret and its other clubs. This would be picked up by several wrestling news outlets and reported as part of the ongoing storyline. This would also amusingly be picked up by some celebrity gossip writers and bloggers of the time. The story was played as real as possible, with some outlets playing along and some possibly duped. The infamous celebrity gossip blogger Perez Hilton on the 16th of January 2013 wrote a blog post which has since been deleted from his website, but still available thanks to the Wayback Machine. The article with the amazing headline, "Brooke Hogan's fiancé disses Lindsay Lohan and Kimier's baby while grabbing at titties," where he congratulated Brooke on the engagement. In the blog post, he went on to scold Bully Ray, aka Bubba, in his words, for burying his face into a stripper's breasts and for Bubba then making fun of Lindsay Lohan's teeth. The article seemed to give the impression that Perez actually thought this wedding and bachelor party were real. His final line in the original article proclaims, "We know you can handle your own in the ring, but stop making enemies out of people who never knew you existed." Unsurprisingly, there would be a later edit and update to this article on the 18th of January 2013 from Perez, which read, "Update. We checked Brooke's Facebook page where she lists herself as single, so she may not be getting married to Bubba after all, and pro wrestling may be fake. One thing is for sure, our dreams have officially been shattered. The lines between reality and pro wrestling here were blurred, so it's easy to see how he may have made that mistake." On January 17th, 2013, while the Aces and Eights still ran rampant around TNA, the stage was set for the wedding of Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan. At the start of the night, we would be shown earlier today, as Bully Ray would be joined by his extreme groomsmen and longtime friends backstage, Tommy Dreamer and Brother Runt, known in ECW and the WWE as Spike Dudley. Absent was his best man, the human suplex machine and longtime TNA color commentator Taz, who would join them later as he was now still on commentary. They were getting their tuxedos ready as Bully thanked them all for being there. Meanwhile, we would see Brooke Hogan getting her wedding hair and makeup done backstage in another room. She was joined by her bridesmaids, Christy Hemme and Mickie James. She thanked TNA knockout Brooke Tessmacher for being one of her bridesmaids. Tessmacher was getting ready in another mirror. The other bridesmaids wanted her to hurry up as Brooke Hogan continued to get her hair done. Everyone seemed to be in high spirits and love was in the air. We would see many wrestlers including Bobby Roode and Austin Aries dressing smart for tonight's festivities too. There would be one man who wasn't so happy about the couple getting married. That man was Hulk Hogan. Bully Ray would make a plea to Sting backstage. He would ask Sting to try to persuade Hulk Hogan to be at the wedding ceremony to give his daughter Brooke away. Sting would call out Hulk to come to the ring to try and convince him. Hulk would remind Sting that they had known each other for a long time and had been down every road, business-wise and personally. Hulk would say that there were people who have said they loved us and then left, and people who said they were our best friends and then stabbed us in the back. Hulk went on to say he didn't trust Bully and that everyone, including the crowd, were telling him the same. Sting would ask him to trust him as he'd come to Brooke's aid many times, and he needed to do this for Brooke. The crowd and Sting tried one last time, and Hogan wouldn't give an answer, but would say, "I always do the right thing, brother," and leave the ring. After another backstage chat later in the night, Hulk would tell Sting again, "I always do the right thing, brother," as we still wouldn't get a definite answer from him yet. As the ceremony started, the ring had been transformed into a small wedding setup with the ropes being removed. The groomsmen and bridesmaids were waiting for the couple to arrive. First, Bully would turn up, making his way down to the ring to take in the atmosphere. Next would be Brooke Hogan, standing at the top of the ramp, waiting to see if Hulk would turn up. As she turned around, her father was there and ready in his own tuxedo. He would do the right thing and walk his daughter down the aisle. With the couple now both here, the pastor could start the ceremony. Bully and Brooke would exchange their vows and rings. Everything seemed perfect. The crowd would even chant "yes, yes, yes," as this was around the time of Daniel Bryan's Yes movement in the WWE. That would be the happiest moment of this evening for the couple, but as usual, wrestling weddings usually never go well. Before the pastor could finish the ceremony and say, "By the power vested in me," Taz would grab the mic from in front of him, disrupting events. Taz would get on the mic and tell Bubba he wanted to ask him 2 questions, as everyone seemed shocked at his actions, asking Taz what he was doing. He said to Bubba that they went way back and that they were brothers. He repeatedly asked Bubba, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Tommy Dreamer and Brother Runt were stood in shock as Bubba tried to plead with Taz. Hulk and Brooke could be heard in the background asking Taz what he was doing. Taz would tell them, "It isn't any of your business," and carried on. Bubba would respond with, "Why are you doing this?" trying to understand Taz's objection to the marriage. Taz would continue with, "Okay, you want to do this. The second question I have is it just me or is it hot in here?" as he took off his suit jacket. He was wearing a leather waistcoat and the crowd let out an audible gasp of shock. Taz turned around in the ring to show the Aces and Eights logo on the back of his waistcoat. Hulk would be heard shouting for everyone to go as the happy ceremony had turned into a trap set by the biker gang. The Aces and Eights would crash the nuptials and disrupt the ceremony. The gang would attack Bully Ray, Hulk Hogan, Tommy Dreamer, and Brother Runt. However, they left Taz unharmed. Taz had revealed that he was the newest member of the Aces and Eights. Another shock betrayal by a long-time TNA roster member had taken place. Doc and Knox would make Brooke Hogan watch the beatdown of her new husband, father, and friends. Sting would try to come down from the back to make the save, but the numbers were too much for him and he would get beaten down too. The Aces and Eights had crashed the wedding in the most vicious way they could, turning Brooke and Bully's happy day into something much more dark, but just as memorable. We would find out why Taz had joined the group in time, but for now we were left wondering, why Taz? Why? But that's all we have for this time. Quick question. Did it shock you that Taz joined, and did you think the wedding was real? Join us next time for the Aces and Eights Part 6, The Turn of Taz. This video was first available to all my Patreons 24 hours before it went live on YouTube ad-free. A special thank you to all my current Patreons, their names will be on the screen right now. If you would like to support this video and future series, then please go to patreon.com/FowlOriginal and become a FOP. Tiers start from $1 and they go towards getting more of these out to you. Like the video if you did, subscribe if you would, hit the bell notification if you please, and share this video if you can. This has been a Fowl Original. Thanks for watching. See you next time.